What's up, YouTube? Today we are back with the second installment of my easy video lesson for beginner guitar players. So if you're new here, you might consider going and checking out that first video here. That is, if you feel like you're an absolute beginner, I cover things there like how to hold the pick, a couple of exercises for the right and the left hand that should get you started using some pretty good technique. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming to this video, and we're going to expand on some of the things we learned in the first video and see how you can use that to take your guitar technique to the next level. All right, with that said, let's begin. All right, here we are zoomed in on the guitar nice and close so we can see what we got going on. If you remember from last time, or if you watched the last video, you'll remember we did an exercise starting on the first string, hitting each string 4 times like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going across all 6 strings like this. Till we get to the 6th string. And then head back to the 5th string. And just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now would be a good time to go ahead and get warmed up. Try that at your own speed. Make sure to count out loud, maybe tap your foot if you can. And then once you're done with that, we're going to look at how you can take this exercise and make it just a little bit more interesting. Now, this is something that not every guitar teacher would recommend doing right away, but I say why not? If you're comfortable with the down picking, we're going to add one more level of complexity, and this is going to be alternate picking, where we go down and then up across the string. So notice, I don't have to move very much to do this. In fact, I don't want to move very much because when I get to the strings that are interior, say like the 2nd string, and by that I mean there's strings on either side of it, I want to make sure to keep that movement small enough that I don't accidentally hit additional strings like that. So this next exercise is going to be the exact same thing you just heard, but we're going to, instead of playing 4 notes on each string down picking, it'll be alternate picking like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. All right. And if you're looking for something a bit more challenging, we're going to take this exercise just a little bit further. This time, instead of 4 notes per string, we're going to use 3 notes on each string. And we're going to continue alternating the entire time. So what that means, we always start with a down pick. 1, 2, 3. So that third one was a down pick. So that means I'm going to begin my 2nd string with an up pick. Up, down, up. All right, that's the 3rd one on the 2nd string. I just did an up pick. Now I'm going to go to the 3rd string, and that begins with a down pick. See where I'm going with this? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. 5th string again. Down, up, 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 down. All right, at this point, it might be a good time to consider practicing with the metronome. If you don't know what a metronome is, just Google it. Look up metronome on a smartphone. You'll find free apps that do this thing that's really neat. It just clicks like, you can set it to whatever speed you want. The big number on most of those apps tell you beats per minute, which means how many times you're going to hear that click once a minute. So if you start at, say, 60 beats per minute, that's going to be clicking at 1 beat per second. So that's a reasonable starting point for a lot of these exercises, especially if you're a beginner. With that said, let's finish this exercise by doing 2 notes per string. So we're back to down, up, 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 down, up. All right, and there's one final piece of the puzzle here. You probably know where I'm going with this. We're going to do 1 note per string, still alternating like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. All right, and that's all there is to it. All right, we just got done warming up with the right hand. Now it's time to take the left hand exercise that we learned previously and expand a little bit on that. Just as a refresher, the left hand exercise from last time, we started from the 5th fret. That's this one. Notice it's on the 2nd fret marker, or you can count the frets individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. And we're remembering to use a nice curved C shape in our fingers, pressing the strings down with just the tip. And we're playing the frets 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, just like that. And that was the 1st string, so if you've done that already, go to the 2nd string, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5. And you may notice I've returned to just doing down picks for this exercise so that we can focus a little more on just the left hand. All right. So if you can confidently do those across all 6 strings, this little walking 1 finger at a time pattern, it's time to move it into a new position. So what I mean by that is, well, we were in 5th position here, given that our 1st finger is positioned by the 5th fret. So when we move down to the fretboard where these frets are spaced out a little more, we call this 1st position. And instead of starting with the 1st finger, I'd like to start with the open string this time. So this exercise now goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Again, making sure to use each finger on its own respective fret. So here goes the 2nd string, open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And here's the 3rd string, open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And if you're feeling comfortable with that, go ahead and finish off the rest of the strings. 4th string, 5th string, 6th string. And for the last part of today's lesson, as usual, I like to show you something that will get you playing a song as soon as possible. Now, granted, when you're first starting out, it seems like it can take a very long time to get to a point where you know enough chords to play a whole song. But if you remember in the last one, we looked at a song that goes a little something like this. Still remember how to play that, good for you. And if you've never played that song before, well, you just saw it's all open strings. It's a great exercise for your right hand, especially if you're a beginner. But what I'd like to look at more closely is the notes that we used to play that song. Now, some of you may remember, these are the notes that belong in the E minor chord. Now, we skip the 5th and the 4th string when we're playing that riff. So what we need to remember is to make the E minor chord, we're going to use our first 2 fingers, index and middle. We're going to place them on the 5th string, 2nd fret. That's where my index finger is. And the 4th string, 2nd fret. That's where my middle finger goes, fingers 1 and 2. And when we play it correctly, every single note, we should hear all 6 strings. So at this point, we should be somewhat proficient at playing an E minor chord. next one I'd like to show you is a version of a G major chord. Now, most guitarists just call it a G. You don't have to say major every time you say G. We'll know what you mean. But there's multiple ways to play a G chord. Like you'll find out with many chords, there's more than one way to play it. This one, I'm going to make it as easy as possible. So from your E minor chord, we're going to leave our index finger where it is. So pick up your middle finger instead. See, my index finger is still on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. All I want you to do is move that middle finger over to the 3rd fret on the 6th string. So now I'm pressing down that note. Should sound like that. And if you've still got your index finger placed on the 5th string, you'll hear that one as well. And then I'm going to continue hitting the next 3 open strings. So it'll sound like this all together. Okay, so you may have noticed I'm leaving out the 1st string. That's because usually when we play a G chord, and eventually we'll learn to play the G chord with an additional finger pressing down on the 1st string. But for now, I just want to do this 2-finger easy version of the G chord like this. So just like any chord, we need to really make sure we're keeping that nice curved C shape in our left hand so as to avoid accidentally muting strings that we don't mean to. In particular, when you're fretting the 3rd fret of the 6th string with your middle finger, you may be prone to accidentally muting the 5th string. So if that's an issue, try and bring your whole hand forward a little bit like that. That way we get a nice arch shape around that wraps around the strings, and so we can hear both notes. There we go. And the same thing goes for your index finger. We're pressing down on the 5th fret, so you run the risk of, if you're not careful, accidentally muting the 4th string like this. So you notice how flat my finger looks there. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and curved. Again, rounded C shape like that. And if we're careful, we can hear all 5 of the notes in our easy version of this G chord. And if you can get a nice sound like that, remembering to pick all of the notes individually just to make sure you can hear what you need to and diagnose any problems if necessary, then you can start to switch between the E minor and the G chord, the easy G chord as I like to call it. Just being careful to stop your pick before you hit that 1st string every time you play a G chord, because we're not including that string just yet. Now, the concept that we have here, where we keep one finger the same between 2 different chords, is what I like to call, many people like to call it this, a pivot finger. So as we learn more and more chord changes, you'll start to spot these notes that you can use to pivot from one chord to the next. And oftentimes you want to take advantage of that because it means one of your fingers is already where it needs to go to get to the next chord. So why make things more difficult by moving more than one finger or the fingers that you need to move when you can just move one and keep your index finger right where it's at. So if you feel good about changing between those 2 chords, you can start to add a little rhythm to it, some timing, simply just by strumming each chord twice. And if you like to, you can set a metronome, tap your foot. All of those things are great. For now, I'll just count out loud. Say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I know this may not sound like a song just yet, but mark my words, this is the chord progression for a very popular 90s rock song. If any of you care to take a guess what song I'm talking about that uses an E minor and G most of the time, put your comment below and give your best guess, and I'll let you know if you got it right. All right, and that's that. All right, that's it for today's lesson. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. And if you don't mind, hit that like button, that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below for any recommendations, anything you'd like to see me do in the future, etc. All of your support helps out this channel greatly, and I do appreciate it. Until the next one, see ya.